Welcome to Ames Responds to COVID-19, a question and answer program where Ames area organizations respond to your COVID-19 questions. I'm Susan Guiazza, the Public Relations Officer with the City of Ames. We've had several questions that have come in this week, and we have several guests with us today to respond. If you have a COVID-19 related question, please call our City of Ames hotline at 515-239-5670 or email us at covid19@cityofames.org. We will try to get your COVID-related question on our next show. So let's jump right into the questions. I understand that McFarland Clinic is offering a designated respiratory clinic in Ames. How long do you have to continue to operate that kind of clinic? That seems like a great question for Roger Kleesner, Chief Operating Officer here at McFarland. Roger, do you have a response?
Sure, I do, Susan. And again, Susan, I just want to thank you and the City of Ames for doing these forums. These are just great, and appreciate the opportunity to visit in this format. We have a designated, we call the URI clinic, and actually that's short for URI-ILI, upper respiratory illness and influenza-like illnesses. In March, when the pandemic hit us and the public health emergency established, we recognized the need to centralize patients with those type symptoms, and for a couple of reasons. One, to provide separation beyond what you could usually anticipate, and then secondly, preserve our PPE. It's currently located in what is known as our North Ames office. We started it in March. It's accessible by phone number out on our website. At this time, we do not have a time frame when to discontinue it. One thing we've learned in this process is that we set up a very dynamic planning process with our medical leadership and lay leaders here meeting regularly, assessing exactly what's going on with the pandemic, what's going on in the marketplace, and we open that service with one provider in place and a work process for testing COVID if needed, but dealing with all other type of URI symptoms. So at this point, we don't have a deadline for it. We know we've had a fairly steady traffic flow through that, averaging anywhere from 30 to 50 patients a day that are symptomatic, though are not all COVID diagnosed. And we've seen a little uptick in that in the last week or so. So what we're doing is preparing to flex it up if we need to as the town increases in size, but we can scale it back as well. So to answer that direct question, we don't have a time frame to, quote, shut that down, because in the fall, we always anticipate just the regular URI stuff showing up, not necessarily the COVID on top of it. So that's what we're doing in that regard. Again, I will mention in Marshalltown and Carroll, we also have similar type of services being offered. And
yeah, that's a good reminder that you're not just in Ames and that you do have locations in other parts of Central Iowa. Speaking of your operations, what changes have you made in operations to make it safe for people visiting McFarland Clinic?
Oh, great question. I'm happy to address that one because we've been very active, actually dating back to January when we first caught word of what was occurring with COVID. And I'll approach maybe from what the patients see. Some of the very visible things before you even get to the clinic, we're now doing a lot of virtual visits over the telephone. At one point, that got to be as high as almost 20% of what we were doing in April and May. And now we're seeing that normalize back to probably 8 or 10% of visits are actually virtual or over the phone before you don't even come into the facility. And that's a huge development for our patients. As you come into our facility, we have the rules of the road that you'll see right on all of our buildings. And that is, number one, we do require masking. That was recommended by the CDC. We feel very strongly about that. And so we require all staff, patients, and guests to be masked. Number two, we do want to limit it to one visitor. Now, there are circumstances that, a small baby with a new mom and a partner or another parent with them, obviously we try to flex that a little bit, but we are asking to limit with one visitor if possible. And then third is the physical distancing. That's been proven to be a very effective means to control the spread. And so that's a principle we try to follow what we do around here. So you'll come in and notice waiting room chairs are kind of spread out and a little thinner than they used to be. If you walk in one of our conference rooms, people go, what happened to all the chairs? And so we're doing some things with furniture and traffic flow. So coming in, you're going to see that. We are screening at all entrances. We're checking the temperature of everybody coming into the building, all employees, all visitors, all patients. And there are a series of questions we ask. We have always had pretty strict infection control guidelines here. We have actually enhanced those some, cleaning in public areas. And then, of course, a lot of PPE, personal protective equipment. You'll see besides the mask, everyone's wearing face shields that many of the clinical staff wear, and different style of masks in place. The The final thing I'll touch on is that we're piloting a new program actually at some of our sites in Ames now, the West Ames office, the Eye Center of Medical Arts, and PEDS next week, and that is curbside check-in, that a person can actually check in to their appointment from the curbside, from their car. They'll be notified when to come into the building and not even stop in a waiting room. And it's an elective process, and currently about 20% of our patients do want to use that service. And we anticipate that number growing, but it allows for further separation. And we're again rolling that out sequentially to some of our sites. And that's a new program. So those are some of the things you'll see going on around the clinic. It's very different when you walk in because we're all masking, but we believe very strongly that's an important thing to do.
Yeah, it absolutely sounds like you're taking this very seriously and taking a thoughtful approach to serving patients. So I appreciate the information. The question regards numbers of COVID positive tests in Story County. Unfortunately, those numbers are going the wrong direction. This person writes, I saw the COVID positive tests have increased somewhat dramatically. What does this mean? I'm going to throw that question over to Rich Higgins, Fire Chief with the Ames Fire Department, but also the coordinator of the COVID-19 response effort for the City of Ames. Rich, what can you tell us about those numbers?
Unfortunately, we are seeing an upward trend in the numbers, and these numbers are available. I'm not, everyone has access to these. If you go to the Test Iowa website, all this information is available to you. And I encourage everyone to go out to the website and take a look to see how our numbers are doing. You need that information, that data, to know, to be informed, to see what's going on in your community. So know that that's available through Test Iowa. If you Google that, you'll find the website. But just to give you a little bit of informational background on what we're seeing right now, on Monday, the 8th of June, we were sitting at 173 cases for Story County. And our testing to positive ratio was at 4.7 at that time. So the number of people getting tested, 4.7 of them were testing positive. A week later, this Monday on the 15th, we were up to 252 cases. That's 79 more cases. And our positive test rate percentage went up to 6.1. And just a little bit ago, I hopped on the website and took a look at the numbers, and we're up to 293. So we're up 41 more since Monday. And we're at 6.6% that are testing positive. So we're almost 2% higher than where we were last Monday at this time for those who are testing positive, the number of people getting tested and tested positive. So obviously very, very concerned about that. It's a 70% increase since last Monday. We do know a little bit about that target group too. We know it's spread throughout the different ages, but there is a group, a cluster of people that are in that 19 to 25-year-old range is what we're being told. And we're not surprised by that, but most of them have been asymptomatic, which is good. And through contact tracing, through Story County Public Health and Iowa Department of Public Health, they're able to put a time and a place to when people got exposed to COVID, which is great. It doesn't mean that it's still not being exposed. It's community spread throughout our community. It's out there. But by contact tracing, they can go back and they can say, hey, Rich, you were at this person's house on Tuesday. They ended up testing positive on Wednesday. We think you should go get tested now. So there's a time and a place that they can tie that back to. And that's really good for contact tracing with that. So numbers are going up. We're concerned. We're trying to find ways to get out and keep the public informed so they can do their part to help reduce these numbers.
Well, that's a good segue into the next part of the question is, what can I do to protect myself? Do you recommend things like wearing a mask?
Absolutely. And Roger hit on this great. And McFarland Clinic has been a great example for our entire community on how to handle this pandemic. We're grateful for the partnership that we have with them. And wearing a mask is that's doing your part. So trying to prevent the spread of COVID-19 throughout our community, everyone has to take this personally. They have to do their part. And it's not always just about protecting yourself. It's really about protecting others in your community. Think about protecting your grandparents who might be at a higher risk, or even your parents who are at a higher risk. Think about your coworkers. That's what we're really trying to educate the public on is don't do this for yourself so much as doing it for others. And that's what really wearing a mask does. It prevents you from letting your droplets spread out to other people. If you're having a conversation, if you're sick, please stay home. I know there's allergies going on right now. There's a lot of things that are starting to bloom, a lot of pollen in the air. And I'm sure Roger and his team up there are seeing those cases increase as well. But Be cautious, stay home, take your temperature a couple times a day, monitor your symptoms. IDPH and CDC have all those guidelines on the website, as well as McFarland, City of Ames. We're all sharing that information. So find those symptoms. If you have any one of those, be proactive, stay home. There's multiple testing sites that are set up throughout the state of Iowa, and they're really easy to get done. McFarland Clinic has their hotline that you can call in to see if you need to get tested. But then there's also Test Iowa, where you can do an online survey to see if you qualify for the test. Be proactive, get tested. Stay home if you don't feel well. Wear your masks, and also social distancing. Do your part. I know it's summer; people want to get together. If you need to get together, maybe instead of doing it inside, do it outside. Maybe set the example, model the way by wearing a mask to your own get together with family. There's a lot of things that we can do, and we have to take this personally and remember that we're doing it for our neighbors. A lot of times I get people ask me, Rich, how can we help out? How can we help out during this crisis? You can help out by doing your part. Wear a mask, keep that social distancing, only go out if you need to go out. So that's what we're encouraging everybody to do. And I think if we all chip in and we all do our part, we can have a real impact on the spread, and we can really keep that line low.
Well, thanks, Rich. I mean, again, I can't think of one thing that sort of explains this "we're all in this together" idea more than what you've just said. Again, taking these precautions, not just for yourself, but for the others in our community. It just really shows that you care. So thank you for that response. And I want to thank our guests today, Roger Kleesner, Chief Operating Officer with McFarland Clinic, and Rich Higgins, Ames Fire Department Fire Chief. As you know, Ames Responds is an opportunity for you to ask your COVID-19 pandemic questions. Again, if you have something you'd like to know about, give us a call at 515-239-5670 or email us at our special COVID-19@cityofames.org email address. Just a reminder quickly, the Yard Waste Free Day that was supposed to be held in the spring has been moved to Saturday, June 27th. For those of you who've been calling about that, it is Saturday, June 27th. They will be practicing safe social distancing, so cars will back up a little bit. You'll want to plan your yard waste drop-off carefully. Finally, remember that we are living in rapidly changing times. The information provided today is the most accurate that we have at this point, but it may change. Please remember to continue to check reliable news sources for new information. McFarland Clinic has information available on their website, as does the City of Ames at cityofames.org/COVID-19. Well, that's our show. Thank you for watching.